evening on Startup Central. So YouTube recently completed 15 years of being in India. Tell us which categories really did well over the past few years, and especially in 2023, the kind of geographies that particularly stood out for you, the genre, languages. What did Indians watch in 2023?
Savita, thank you for having us. This is an important year. As you said, we've completed 15 years in the country, and YouTube's journey in many ways has mirrored India's own digital transformation. Now, to your point about what's happened in this year, I think there's some very interesting trends that we've been seeing over the last couple of years, which have only been reinforced. So I'd say the first one is the growth of short form video as a category. The fact that we have such great creative tools that are now available on people's devices, it makes the whole creation process easier, and it's allowing people from every part of the country to join. At the same time, we're also seeing consumption of YouTube happening on the living room screen. It's been our fastest growing surface for a long time, for the last 5 years. And so that dual casual creation on mobile devices, increased consumption on connected TVs, is one big trend that we're seeing. The second one that I point out to your question about verticals and genres, when data devices and the cost of smartphone devices started dropping in the middle of the 2010s, we started to see a very different Indian come to YouTube, an Indian who came from a non-metro, non-urban environment, who spoke languages other than English and Hindi. And we've only seen that become much, much more over the last couple of years. And as a result of that, now we're seeing a broad diversity of language, of genre, of different verticals across short form and long form in the country.
You rightly said that YouTube has been a critical part of India's digitization journey, digital journey. But what is YouTube really bringing in the next few years, and how is the India market as an opportunity worked out for YouTube?
India is a very important market for YouTube. Very often we launch our products here first, or we do it alongside the US. A good example of that is YouTube Shorts itself, which was launched here. The trends that I just spoke about, the growth of short form video, the growth of consumption on living room devices, and consumption happening from every part of the country, across languages and across diverse genres and verticals, I think are the broad trends. One area that might be of interest to you is our focus on helping our creators monetize and build sustainable businesses, and thereby convert their passions into professions, and that's driving a lot of the growth of the creator economy. Last year, we made some announcements around monetization for our creators. So the first big one was around Shorts. We announced Shorts monetization. We announced a new level of what we call our YouTube Partner Program that enables creators to make money, and that was allowing creators to have access to some of the monetization features earlier on in their career. So those were announcements made last year. But this year, we're very excited to talk about two new announcements in this monetization space. One is Brand Connect, and the second is podcasts. So Brand Connect is YouTube's branded content platform that aims to make it easier for brands to execute marketing campaigns working with our creators. So if you're a brand or you're an agency and you're looking for the right profile or the right mix of creators, Brand Connect can help you. And if you're a creator, Brand Connect allows you to be discovered by brands and agencies. You can have something like a customizable media kit that has audience insights based on the channels that you currently run on YouTube. And that's one way of you pitching yourself to these brands. And we hope that making that process simpler will help both brands and creators on the monetization front. The second quick one on podcasts is, podcast has been a format that's been live on YouTube for a long time, but we've invested heavily in making the podcast experience a lot richer. So we are just announced the podcast experience within the YouTube Music app, and it's rolling out now in the coming months across the country. And from a viewer perspective, it has a much better viewer experience. It allows things like when you can come in and leave, it will remember exactly where you left. There are better discovery features. There are now podcast shelves available on YouTube Music, so your podcast can get discovered. And if you're a creator, it supports both a video as well as audio podcasts. And again, this format is another way to help our creators monetize.
Right. So you're saying that podcasts have done rather well, and that's not really a surprise, even if you track some of the numbers that are really showing on YouTube dashboard. But you also mentioned an interesting takeaway as far as short form versus long form videos are concerned. So how do the numbers really compare when you see both of these categories?
Yeah, look, I think the thing that we're seeing right now is viewers in general are coming to YouTube now with very different demands and the use cases and the habits that they're now building. We're starting to see across genres viewers coming to look at short form video for a particular use case and long form video for another. So for example, if you're a learning creator, you can do quick tips in your shorts and then direct to maybe a longer VOD or maybe even a live course. We see that happen in news as well. Quick updates for the day happening on Shorts, but much more in-depth features now on our news watch page, which is a new experience we just launched. So what we're really seeing is viewers as well as creators meeting this demand for multi-format consumption happening across Shorts, podcasts, long form, live. It's all available on YouTube, and that's been our approach.
Right, I'll take off from what you've just said about safety. Now, SEBI has been going strong as far as cracking down on influencers is concerned, rolling out advice to people on where to invest, what to invest in. And you, correct me if I'm wrong, you've publicly earlier stated that YouTube will put an end to any unauthorized financial advice that's being given out of its platform. But how are you going to ensure that? Because then that enters the category of content moderation.
It's really a very important one because despite everything or on top of everything that I've just said, the most important thing for us is to make sure we keep YouTube as a platform safe. And the reason for this is it's actually core to our overall strategy. If you look at the stakeholders that we serve, whether it's our viewers, whether it's our creators, or even advertisers, no one wants to be associated with a platform where there's misinformation. So it's in our best interest to tackle this. Now, we've been using and investing in our systems and processes for a long time to address this. But this is a fast evolving space, as you've pointed out, and our work is never done here. So we have to keep at it. Now, we have a multi-pronged approach to address some of the examples that you just addressed. The first one is that we have very well-established community guidelines that dictate what kinds of content are allowed on the platform and not. And when content violates that particular community guideline, we will act against it, and we apply those policies consistently globally all across the world. The second thing we do is we prioritize authoritative content and help users connect with it in the key moments. So you would see products on YouTube, which is sort of breaking news or info panels that are always trying to make that connection with more authoritative voices. And the third area that I would say is around monetization itself, which is through our YouTube Partner Program, we want to make sure that we are offering these services to people who are creating or to creators who meet our community guidelines. And so there is a higher bar for those creators to be able to make money. And these are the three different prongs that we use in order to keep the platform safe. And that's the same framework that we'll use for every single, every vertical, including the examples that you just raised.
All right. And what about deepfakes and misinformation, especially as we go into an election year? 2024 general elections are just about 2-3 months away. There was a misinformation challenge in the previous election year as well, and not just in India, but globally, and not just for YouTube, but for platforms across the board. But particularly, this challenge becomes even more difficult to tackle because there is the element of AI concern. There is this element of deepfakes concerned. How are you dealing with the menace of deepfakes?
This is a very important topic for us. As I said before, nothing is more important to us than keeping the platform safe. Some of these new technological advances that you're talking about only require us to double down and do even more. The framework that we would use would be similar to the one that I described earlier, which is we would remove content that would not meet our community guidelines. We prioritize content that is authoritative and make it and connect it up with users when they need it most. And we would only reward creators who are creating content in line with our policies. But to your specific point, we are actually rolling out policies specifically for deepfakes and for AI. So for example, in the coming months, we will now make it mandatory for creators to disclose when they are creating content that is synthetic or created by AI generated tools. And that could include content like people saying or doing something that they did not say or do, or if they are depicting a real world event which did not actually happen. And in addition to requiring them to disclose it, YouTube will start to label this content either in the description box or on the watch page, so that the viewer is aware that what they're watching is synthetic based or AI generated content.
Right, so interesting to see that a start has been made to crack down on deepfakes and, of course, to make creators accountable. But what do you make of competition hotting up in the video space? You have OTTs, you have short form video platforms. Then, of course, there are audio platforms. Cinemas once again gaining more traction after the pandemic era doom. What are some of the trends and projections that you foresee for 2024?
We would not consider ourselves a social media platform because we're not based on a social graph. People come to us not to connect with their friends, but to watch video. We're not a traditional publisher. We don't create our own content. We're not a traditional broadcaster. So the way we look at this going into 2024 is to double down on our strategy, and that is to be the best place for viewers to watch video content across formats, whether it's short form, long form, live, or podcast, across devices, whether it's on your mobile phone or your tablet or on the living room screen, and for the creators to be the absolute best place to create. And that involves giving them tools to help them create content better, to help them monetize better, and to help them build communities by reaching people all across the world. I'd say those are the two things that we're doubling down on. In terms of the trends that you're talking about, I would say back to the ones I mentioned before. Short form video, lots of casual creation happening there, longer form consumption happening on connected TV and screens, and lots of consumption happening from non-urban, non-metro places and languages other than English and Hindi.